ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial business owner, the founder of Shalo Glow LLC, an all-natural skincare company that helps you glow from head to toe. I am a champion for your daily self-care, business care, and intentional wellness.
Hey, y'all. I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, published author, and dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Yes. Together, we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and the co-founders of Women Connected in Wisdom community.
Right. And we like to get together every week and have intentional conversations about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness.
How are you?
Oh my goodness. I am well. I am on the road today.
Yes.
So I am coming in today from Chicago. I'm coming in from Chicago, Illinois. Last week I was in North Carolina at Alternate Roots, and this week I am at the Parliament of World Religion, supporting some awesome inner players and doing a performance on Friday. So August is the month of travel.
The month of travel. And is this a panda bear behind you? What is this?
Yes. Yes, I am in some lovely inner players are hosting us. And we are, I was going to say where I am, but I think I'm going to get it wrong. But we're in the neighborhood close to DePaul University.
Okay.
I think it's called the Lincoln Park area of Chicago. I've never been here before. It is delightful. Reminds me a little of Brooklyn, or perhaps Chicago. Brooklyn reminds me of Chicago. I don't know the order where I don't get in trouble with people,
I hear you.
but it is beautiful. I'm in an older neighborhood that has big trees, and they have some are brownstones and some are not. But you know how the houses are kind of side by side, and they've got beautiful flowers in their front yard. And right now it is 82 degrees and sunny. And that is just phenomenal. So
beautiful. I love architecture
what about you?
And a beautiful landscape. I am good. I am excited for us to be at the end of season 14. And I've been thinking about all the journey. You know, I keep thinking about me in this hoodie on your porch when we first put the list together, the first year of all the things that we wanted to do. And now we're talking about multiple books and multiple authors and all this stuff in season 15. And I'm excited to have gotten this far and looking forward to continuing to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, we were doing the coffee and chat with a future guest and actually one of our future authors, and she was talking about that basically we're living her dream. And I don't take that for granted. No. I don't take for granted that I get to travel and work from wherever I am. Yeah. I get to lift up women's voices. I get to be in partnership and collaboration with you and create books and create conferences and create retreats and create, all the things, right?
Yes.
All the things that are just like, yes. And have a good time doing it, right? Yeah. And be in wellness while we're doing it. Especially in the midst of just how intense
everything
this
else
year has been, right?
Right.
Like, hello.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we do all of it.
Most weeks we have expert guests on, but this week is a season wrap. So whoop. So today we're talking about the 8 dimensions of wellness. Yes. Our guest we had on last season, and wrapping up season 14, which I don't know about you, Shannon, but when I looked at this season, it may have been one of our most challenging seasons.
What's your okay, so let's unpack it. Challenging, why?
Well, we had time off in that. I mean, that's always good. We're practicing on that, right?
Yes.
But we were gone more than I think we usually are, except around the holidays, right? We took off for my birthday.
Yes. I was about to say, you're just going to leave your birthday out because I definitely put it on the story. Yes.
Right?
So we took off for your birthday.
Right. I was working through that time. I was doing the Interplay National and International Leaders Gathering. We had, did we have somebody no show on us this? I can't
We
remember. I was
did.
trying to
We
remember the
did.
season.
And
Like,
and so y'all, this is part of the business, right? We thought we had a
right,
guest, ended up not having a guest, and that's okay. We're flexible with the way things happen in real life,
right?
right? There's the
Yeah,
plan, and this is what the chapter is on volume 2. You put the plan together, but then what actually happens? And so we took some weeks off, and then we had a week where it kind of went different than expected, and we got to do
right.
it ourselves. Yeah.
Well, and I was thinking about how unusual that is, right? I
Mhm.
was doing some
Which is a beautiful
consulting
thing.
for somebody who's starting a new podcast.
Okay.
And, they were asking these questions like, y'all go live, like, what happens? And I said, well, it's interesting that you asked that because we recently had that happen. But I
Yeah.
can count it on one hand in 2.5 years
Less
that
than
we've,
one.
and it's
Like, yeah, of course.
right, less
Yeah.
than one hand. And so it was fascinating me to look at that,
Yeah.
right? To think about it in relation to the big picture, that
Mhm.
it's really been intense for a lot of people. And so just taking note of that
Yes.
and paying attention.
Yes.
So, hi, Courtney Dorsey,
Hey,
Coach
Coach Co.
Co. Happy
Thank you for being here.
Wednesday. So glad to
Yes.
see you, my friends.
In the social
We,
wellness, that's what I think about when I think about Coach Co. And that's how you do it. And a lot of times, especially as we get used to and build whatever our normal is on this side of COVID, right? That frustration or all the things that can happen in between what you expected to happen and what actually happens. And when you step back from it, you can say, hey, but that 126 episodes has happened, what, twice? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good
right,
percentage, right? But when it happens,
right.
how do we respond? How do we maintain our wellness and still show up as best we can and then process it, right? And keep going and then go to the next one.
Right. And I know we often talk about what are some of our tools, like what do we use in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I often individually and together use that taking a deep breath together, right? So I think we invite everybody, Coach
Let's
Co,
do
everybody else that's
it.
listening, to just take a moment and pause
Yeah.
and take a deep breath and let it out with a big old sigh. Just intentionally letting out any stress or frustration or
Mm.
anything that may be having you hold your shoulders and your jaw
Yeah.
too tight, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is releasing our jaws. I know
Yeah.
it's not pretty, but it's so
Uh,
needed.
Still look good though, you know what I'm saying? That's not gonna go away. But and I love what Cecile said yesterday. She said let going of the things that are not for you and breathing all the things that are, things like that, reminds me
Mhm.
of heart math. Like, like a lot of things are happening still, family emergencies, and life will continue to happen for the rest of life. But
Mhm.
today also centering the gratitude and being able to
Right?
process and sit in the moments when they happen, but also so grateful for the way that we get to show up in each situation.
Well, and so grateful for who we did connect to this season,
Yes.
right?
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, I think about Diane Hillary's episode for spiritual wellness,
And
and
trusting your authority, so good.
right, and talking about self-compassion, which,
Yeah.
we have our friend and author, Dr. Cynthia Phelps, who also,
Yes.
that's her jam, right
Hmm.
along with Diane. And I am struck by, we do this work, and it's still good to be reminded,
Yeah.
especially when things don't go quite the way you want them to, or things like that. Because
Yes.
I don't know about you, Shannon, but, I was a teacher's kid. And, really, I have that inner voice that if
Uh,
things aren't quite going right, like
hmm.
I get a little tough on myself, right?
Okay.
It's like, it's that when you make a B plus instead of
Hmm.
an A, right? That
Okay.
sometimes you're like, oh, and I have to check her. I have to
Yeah.
check her in my head and be
And what do you
like,
say?
um, I usually just take a deep breath and ask her to be gentle, and
Hmm.
that a B plus is really good.
And you did something. You did it. You
And you
completed it.
did it right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
boy, and I don't know if it came from my parents or if it was just that system that was
I,
so close to my family. What do you think?
I think it's a yes and, especially because of the way that we talk about learning. And that's why I'm so excited to talk about intellectual wellness for volume 2, because when I learned about a Montessori and when the children guide their learning, that's how adult life is, right? What did I need to learn more about? Financial wellness. That account hit zero and life will show you what you need to learn really quick, and you get to choose and you can have fun with it. But if you stress yourself out to the point where, especially as an honor student, I hear you on the B's, like I need at least like a 93, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, it's not going to work. And so just, the wisdom in action, and am I being consistent? What do I need to do to maintain? I saw this thing on Instagram that was it was something like not every season you're going to thrive. Sometimes you just get enough to stay in the game. And that's kind of how I feel right now, right? Like I look forward to us having multiple 7-figure businesses and the teams and the systems that run themselves, and we're on retreat and other people are doing stuff and it's great, right? But we're not there right now. And so knowing that even with that, it's month 8. It is August 16, 2023, while we're live, right? And I saved 6 months expenses. So I'm still out here for 2 more months and I don't have to go to work tomorrow, so we're in the flow of things and able to stay in the system and in the businesses and in the flow of everything, and things will fall into place. And that's a beautiful thing as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I think about, folks listening that are entrepreneurs, that are solopreneurs, that live this life, right? Yeah. And that how really looking at our wellness is crucial to that. And so Coach Co says that is so hard for me to accept. Can you believe I applied for a second job?
I can't believe.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to go back to Papado. And it was more difficult to go back to Papado than it was to go back to work after COVID, right? Topgolf, okay, I can wrap my mind around it. Papado was difficult to accept. And what I held right close to my heart was I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to build the life that I want for myself, right? And so Papado made it so that I had less work hours, more of a salary, that made it so that I could save more and work on paying off my debt, paid off my car, right? Faster, instead of spending more time at work with less money and more flights of stairs, because that was a 3-story venue. So considering my physical wellness, right? And I knew it was for a season, and I charted out the plan and I executed it, and now we're on the next part. So
that makes me think of Timoni Monroe Artwell's episode this season about financial wellness, and really talking about having the plan and knowing what you want to do and what your dreams are, right? Because she was really focused on real estate investment and how do you get there and what those steps are, and guided our listeners through some of that process.
And when I was planning on writing, if you ladies listen to all the episodes, right, then earlier this year, listen to all of that intellectual wellness. Thank you so much, Coach Co. Well, this is my intellectual wellness partner, Timoni, okay? Let me tell you about our Cashflow group. So if you listen to all the episodes, right, that I was planning on writing 2 chapters. My second chapter, I was thinking about talking about my experience in jumping the cash flow quadrants, right? Going from the employee quadrant to the small business and specialist quadrant where we are right now, as we go to the big business and investors, right? And that's from Robert Kiyosaki. And he has this board game where you get out of the rat race. And as I listen to his audiobooks, he's talking about different groups throughout the country and the world that play this game in different languages, and they get together and meet up. And I thought that would be a cool idea to do, right? But I was like, I'm not going to start a group right now, maybe after I have more time. But I actually have played it with a group of friends, and Timoni was in that group. And y'all, when I heard about the board game, he was telling us in the book, you're going to be upset, telling us how people were mad. And I was mad. I did not win. I did not get out of the rat race. I was not happy. I bought some coins I shouldn't have bought. And Timoni got out. I said, how did she do that? How does she get freedom, And so that's what we work on together. And so in that episode, we talked about how real estate is a great way to do that and to build your net worth quicker than other ways that you can invest. So if you guys are interested in it, that's what we talked about for season 14 in financial wellness.
That makes me think, two things that makes me think about, Shannon, is before the
Yes.
pandemic, I played a cooperative board game called Pandemic, and we won. So we
Oh,
have not played that game again.
so wait, what is this game? What is Pandemic?
It's a cooperative board game
So what
about
do
like a
you do?
pandemic has broken out and you have to like you have different roles as like doctors and scientists and things like that, and you cooperate and figure out if you can stop the pandemic. And
So what did
so
you guys do?
I can't even remember. I mean, this was 3 years ago,
We
right?
need an
So
outline. Somebody
here's
needs this information.
here's what I just remember. I remember we won, and then it
Yeah.
wasn't a month or two later that really the pandemic hit,
That's what I'm saying.
and we
Somebody
haven't
needs
touched
it.
it because I
Oh
wasn't
my
playing it
goodness.
again. Because what if we lost, right?
I hear you. We're gonna win in real life though, Christine. We're winners,
Right,
okay?
right. And so that made me think about
Ooh.
that and laugh. And then the other
Yeah,
thing it made me think about is when you said the word freedom
freedom.
attached to financial wellness, that
Yes.
sometimes it's not a number. Like
Right.
it's not, it is a way of life, or it is a
Mhm.
quality of life, or it
Right.
is, sometimes
Yes.
it's not the abundance, it's the lack of stress, right?
And that
It's like,
it
what are the choices?
I hear you. And when I
Yeah.
think about it, I think about time and financial freedom, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes you trade it, and as you build it, you might have one or the other. And so that's where it's been right now. Don't have the financial freedom to go to Dubai and zip line like I've been thinking about. Not yet, right? It's on the list, but
Is it
I
on the list, but is it on your visual manifesting board? Do you have a
mm,
picture of
I
yourself
don't.
ziplining in
I
Dubai?
don't. I can update.
Okay.
I can make that
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Because I don't remember that when we did our class in January. Y'all, every
Oh, it
year
wasn't a
in
connected
January,
envision.
we do a Connected Envision party, and I didn't
Yeah.
remember that. Sorry, just a little gentle
No, I
calling
love
you in
it. I
accountability.
I'm here. I'm here for it. And yes, ma'am, when we do our connected envision, it will be on there.
All right.
Um, but I have the freedom to choose my time the way I want to
Mm-hmm.
spend my time the way I want to. You know, last year it was because I had amazing support system in my upper management who did my schedule that made it so that I could be off on Wednesdays. But now I just say, hey, this is what we do on Wednesdays, right? What is Coach Co saying? Michelle Obama and President Obama wrote an outline before he left office. He wrote about how his administration handled Ebola. I guess no one read it. She did say that in her book.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when she was talking about how it was disheartening to go from all the work that they had did to what it was at that moment. Speaking of that, my doctor said that COVID numbers are going back up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
again, and this is why it's so important to maintain our wellness. Right. Last night
Mm-hmm.
we were looking at something. I told you guys stuff I watch is for like market research and everything, right? To know what other people are getting information from and what people are talking about. And we were watching the future of health and how
Ooh.
they're trying. And I was thinking about you, Christine, in Geek Space,
Mm-hmm.
because they had 3D printers, right? And they're 3D
Mm.
printing organs and talking about people drinking more so they can have a replacement liver. I'm like, what? Even if I had a replacement, I'm still taking care of the first set of everything. You know what I mean? So we got to
And
be
you know what
preventative.
that makes me think about? And I have friends that are on the colonized Mars
Mm,
thing, and I just shake my head because I'm like, y'all, we got a planet. Like we got to take care of our planet. When I think about environmental wellness, you were talking about like all the different wellnesses. It's like,
yes.
you know, I've been watching all the news about what's happening on our planet, and
Yes.
it's affecting all of us, y'all.
Hmm.
Like, and I'm going to get this wrong, so forgive me if I'm a little bit off because I
That's
didn't
fine.
write it down.
Hmm.
But they were talking about in Florida this week that it was something like 130 degrees,
Wow.
130 or 135 on the beach, the sand. So the
Wow.
temperature was over 100, but if you were on the beach, the
That
sand,
sand is no joke.
and then it was saying it was over 150. I can't remember how high it was on the asphalt playground in the kids' playground,
Lord.
right?
Mm,
Like burning up. And then we see what
literally.
happened with Maui. And we will put in our show notes. I have got some recommendations of places if you want to donate
Mm,
for mutual aid in Maui for things to go directly to the people,
mm,
because that is the worst uh, fire in our, the deadliest
wow.
fire in modern history in
Can
the United
we
States.
can we talk about it, Christine? Because I'll be honest, the shade room turned into the newsroom, and I've been trying not to get news everywhere.
Right.
I saw some
Yeah.
pictures. I don't know what happened. What happened?
In Maui,
Yes.
I believe it was a wildfire that got out of control, and the winds were high, and the way the island was set up, and they think, and this has not all been proven, right? Because they're still trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
But I think what also happened is where the fire started, it damaged their emergency alert system.
Mm.
And so then the emergency broadcast system didn't go out. So over
Wow.
100 people so far have been
Wow.
discovered killed, and they're
Mm.
expecting more. Like it is, yeah, right. It's big stuff. I'm sorry to spring that on you on the air.
No,
Like
no, no, you're fine. I asked you. I
it's a
just
big deal.
yeah,
Well,
of course.
and then it goes into financial wellness,
Mhm.
environmental wellness,
All of
because
it.
developers are trying to move in. This is a traditional indigenous
Mhm.
Hawaiian island, and
Mhm.
I want to call them bloodsuckers. They're already there
I was gonna
trying to
say sound like
buy
a
the
setup.
developers, right? They're trying to buy the land. So, it weaves all in and out. And this
Right.
is, this is powerful stuff that's
Yeah.
happening right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that makes me think of, again, Diane Hillary. We talked about the authority that you have in yourself, right? Prayers for all in need. Yes, that's what Coach
mm-hmm,
Co says. And just remembering that no matter what happens to you, where you are, you have the authority to live your life in the time that you have it, right?
mm-hmm,
And then Michelle Steele for Beautiful Mind and her products for
mm-hmm.
the pets, right? We talked about the asphalt. Imagine the pet paws, they need her balm that she has.
Right.
But I love her story as a nurse. And she said, you know what? I need to step away, and taking that
Mm-hmm.
space for her emotional and mental capacity and sustainability to say, hey, I'm going to step away and this is what I'm going to do instead. And this is how I want to spend my time so that I could build my life the way that I want it to look.
Right.
Hmm.
And grateful that she checked in with her body and what her body needed, and also had the privilege to be able to do that, because
Yes.
we know that not everybody has that choice. But I love that she was studying herbalism and starting
Yes.
on that journey and figuring that
Hmm.
out, and
So
weaving
good.
her traditional teachings of nursing and her degree in with some holistic stuff. And it doesn't have to be an either or.
Mm-mm.
It can be a yes and,
A
for
yes,
sure.
and if you're gonna watch it, the future of health, all of these stuff. I was like, so they need kombucha. So kombucha is what they need for their gut health, kombucha and water, So absolutely for the advancements and the things we have the opportunity to take advantage of in the future. But yes, to some good old sleep and water and muscle alignment and chiropractor visits and acupuncture, like you were talking about last week
Mhm.
when we were talking to Rika about bringing bliss and making you whole with massage therapy.
Can I say to you, yes to Rika in physical wellness? And can I say to you also, at Alternate Roots Week conference, they
Yeah,
had a massage therapist on site. Um,
I heard about how
called
good this person was.
He's a massage therapist from Atlanta, Georgia, called Pupulala,
Mm,
and his that's his business name. And he did a technique I had never experienced. It's trigger point massage therapy.
mm,
So I've experienced it in some ways, but not near like I highly recommend it, y'all. Like
mhm.
if you are in the Atlanta area, we can put his info in our show notes.
Yes.
It was incredible.
Mhm. I've heard
I'm
raving reviews.
almost speechless about how incredible he was.
Really.
So, yeah. I know
Yeah.
we like to uplift women's voices, but I have to say, like, I have to uplift his.
And we also talk about the people who support the women. And whenever they choose, that's also the men. And thank you. Thank you. What's his name?
Pupulala,
Thank you, Poo Lala. I've
right?
heard the reviews, yes, yes, it's important to be aligned and make sure that we're giving attention to that. So I love it,
Right.
and that's what we need to maintain our wellness and to name stuff. Sometimes it helps. So then you can, again, like we were talking about with the financial wellness, pick this specific point and give it some attention, right? If your life is a garden it a little bit, pull some weeds, water it, sing to it, and then keep going and come back in a little bit, and it'll be good.
I speaking of giving shout outs, can I give a
Yes,
shout out today?
please. Yes, let's
All
do
right.
it.
So it was a couple of months ago that I did a consultation with a friend for her new book that was coming out.
Okay.
And we did a consultation through Connecting Wisdom Press for an Amazon bestseller campaign.
Hmm.
And this is my friend's book, which she has not been on the show yet. We've got to get on our show, especially about this new book. This is Cynthia Winton-Henry, who is the
Hmm.
co-founder of Interplay. We have called her names many times on this show.
Yes.
Today, y'all, her book is on sale. It is called The Art of Ensoulment. It
Mhm.
is a playbook on how to create from body and soul. It is currently sitting at number 1 in spiritual healing. It is
Congratulations.
also currently sitting in number 1 in women's personal spiritual growth. And
Mhm.
that was before we got on the show. So it could be sitting at number 1 in more than 2 categories. But
Yes.
go get it, y'all. It is it's a playbook. The e-version is only $2.99. The paperback version is $45. It's a hard ebook, and
It's beautiful.
it's beautiful. One of our team members from Connecting Wisdom Press was actually one of the ones that was designing that book too. So,
Yes.
like lots of crossover, right? But I just wanted to give her huge shout out and congratulations. And we will put a link to that book, new book out
Yes.
there because, yeah,
I love it.
it's exciting,
Congratulations. Yes, it's
right?
exciting. More
It's
tools. You work through
exciting.
stuff, and in that season, everything falls into place. So if you guys get it and you heard about it on our show, let us know. Let
Yeah,
us know. We'll give one of those
absolutely.
shout out.
Absolutely. And just I was thinking about how fun, because I love
Mm.
to do Amazon bestseller campaigns. Like it is to me one of the delights of
Yes,
what we do
me too.
is giving people the tools to first of all know how to do it, know
Mhm,
why to do it,
mhm.
and then to see the success,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yes.
because I'm not I just did one consult. I'm not running the campaign, but I did a consult and gave info, and then they reached out with a question today,
Yeah.
and I went to look because I was curious. I was like, "Oh
Of
yeah, that's
course.
today, right?" Because
Yeah.
if we were running it, we'd know the day. It'd be on our. I was
Of
like, "Oh
course, of
yeah, that's
course.
today." I went to look and, of course,
Yes.
snapped some screenshots because
Good
that's what
job.
we do for each other, right?
Yes,
And
it is
send them
what
to
we do.
each other and
Yeah.
say, "Hey," and just celebrate. That is one of my favorite things that we do in community is celebrate each other and celebrate our wins and give big shout outs for success. Like that's
Yes.
exciting, right?
Yes, yes, I love it. And it's interesting. We had a conversation on the way to the book signing in South Carolina. Like, tell me more about this competition versus collaboration. Because I know my stories, but I'm not getting it. I didn't know it was so bad. Like, me and my friends were great. So
Right.
knowing that, even though we were in these categories and can talk about spiritual wellness, we
Hmm.
definitely need other people in that category. We need other people doing these works. There's more books than just ours. So
Hmm.
to be able to
Hmm.
be in community with people who are doing such good work and having the impact and the intentional dimensional wellness is a beautiful thing to
Powerful.
witness. Yes.
Well, and then I also think about all the different tools we have in our toolbox, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That there's more than one way to get to this. There's more
Mhm.
than one resource there, as we know. Like somebody asked
Right.
us today, how many guests have you had on your show? And
Mhm.
we ballparked it. We figure about 110 or
Right,
you
with
know,
126 episodes, right?
right? But that's a lot of experts. That's a lot of modalities. That's a
Yeah,
lot of different choices
resources.
and
Yes.
resources. And I love
Mm,
that because not every resource works for everybody,
that's
you
true.
know?
Or in the same season, and that's what
Hmm.
Sula's chapter is about in volume 2 is that, hey, this is what my self-care list used to look like. This is what it looks like in this season. And that's
Hmm.
fair. And I'm
Hmm.
doing the best I can. And that's all we can do. And so make sure that you take care of yourself. And that's true with life in the way that we've been talking about it doing.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. So if y'all are listening today, give us a shout out on the comments about which 8 dimension are you currently wanting to focus more attention on.
Yeah.
As we wrap up season 14 today, we're talking about all the 8 dimensions. We're talking about emotional and mental wellness. We're talking about environmental wellness, financial wellness, intellectual wellness, physical wellness, occupational wellness, spiritual wellness, and social wellness. So, is there one that you want to bring back into balance? Or is there one that you're giving real shout outs on? So, I'll ask you that question, Shannon. Like, which one are you feeling like, whoop, 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 season 14, I'm jamming on this one?
Oh, on season 14, I'm jamming on.
Hey, y'all, this is a great place to take a break and hear from our awesome sponsors that make Women Connected in Wisdom podcast possible. Shannon, we are so grateful that Shayla Glow is the sponsor of the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. And I wanted to take this moment to ask you, when you think about the people who use Shayla Glow, who are we talking about?
That's a good question. I think about 3 groups really. One, the group that's removing hair, right? So whether you're using laser hair removal, waxing, shaving, you got to make sure that you're putting back what you're taking out. The second group, I think about those with dry skin and the problems that that might cause, right? The scars, itching, burning, whatever the situation is, you definitely need all 3 steps, right? The exfoliation, making sure you're taking the dead skin cells off, the oil, putting in the moisture, and then the shea butter with the aloe, sealing it, helping you heal. Those things help both groups, right? And third, for the third group is those with chronic illness. You know, the story is personally from cancer and different diseases that our population is dealing with on a daily basis throughout families as individuals. So I'm thinking about my mom and my grandmother and those around me with the same generational ties, right? And what positive, healthy habits we can start to make sure that we're maintaining our wellness, especially because the skin is like the cape, the exterior, the shield for your immune system. So with COVID, we have to be intentional about covering ourselves. And those are the groups I think about.
I love it. And you know what else I love about your product? It's all natural, handmade, and it smells great, y'all. So
esthetician tested. Yes, esthetician tested and approved. Yes. What about you? When you think about your company, what groups of people do you think about?
Well, you know, I work with individual coaching clients. I work in community classes and with corporate teams. And with all of them, I use a strength-based, embodied approach to help folks connect with themselves and access joy, reduce burnout, and build resilience. You know, especially during these times, I think we need it. I think we need all the hashtag partnership power we can get.
Yes. On season 14, I'm jamming on physical wellness. I am intentional, listening to my body, knowing the cues, knowing what to do before stuff gets worse, stretching it out. As we stretch into volume 2, stretching in new positions, really been stretching more and making sure that things are staying aligned. And of course, physical wellness. Yes. And Coach Co has been my support, my social support. And we've been checking in with our goals and making sure we stay on track. You know, I told you ladies last week about the weighted bar. We've been getting it, you know, so I would say I'm great there. Right. Spiritual wellness.
Wait. I want to pause.
Go. Pause.
I want to pause because, you know, the hashtag that bubbled up for me is partnership power. You know, we often talk about partnership power in Stillpoint. And I just want to lift up that partnership for then y'all's gentle accountability with each other and that you're both rocking it. So, woo, congrats.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
yes.
That's awesome.
And you know what we do, the connecting and wellness, right? And then I see you, Coach Co. Okay, so before I say what I'm working on, let's bring Co into the conversation. Let's see what she says. She says, I'm jamming on social wellness and I need work in physical wellness. Okay. And I have been working on spiritual wellness, you know, since COVID. I'm big on leadership. You know, on Instagram, I was sharing about how I don't just there was this Bible app I was doing a devotion on, and it would be one verse of Bible. And when I read it, I usually read a chapter to understand the context, right? So it was one verse, and then it was this huge like essay. And I'm like, who is this essayist? Who is the person? Whose voice am I listening to? I don't know, so no, I need another place. And so I'm big on where I receive guidance from. Right. And at the beginning of COVID, our church, Victory World Church, had just transferred leadership. And so with my mom passing away, us starting all our stuff, I had stepped away and have not been in person, but we went virtually, and I went a few weeks ago and looking forward to going more often. And that's been great, making sure that I'm poured into as I pour out to people around the world and in all these different businesses and teams that we're continuing to grow. What about you, Christy? What have you been working on, and what have you been really excited about and on top of?
Well, I think social wellness. I think I'm with Coach Co on social wellness.
You've been doing great.
Because, I mean, it's been both personal and work, right? Because things are opening back up. So presenting at conferences, being able to be in person places, I feel like that bucket is really being filled up. It is kind of my professional friends. My personal friends are like, where is she? Because she's not in Georgia right now. But, there's all kinds of different social wellness.
Yes.
I would actually say, even though it has been one of the toughest seasons with grief and loss of things going on in my family or anticipated things, I feel like emotional and mental wellness. Like, I have an incredible support system. I am doing what I need to do to get through this tough stuff. And it's not easy, but I feel like I am doing well there today.
I hear you.
Let's name that.
Beautiful. Yes. And it definitely ebbs and flows. And I'm so happy that that's where you're at.
Right.
Yeah. So what about one that you're working on?
I would probably say physical wellness due to all the travel. I got in a 2-mile walk on Monday, but I've been on the road since. And so that is one of the things that's a little trickier for me sometimes when I'm flying and on the road and the schedule changes. That making sure I get my daily walk in. I did a little today. I don't know if I got in my actual 2 miles, but I walked, walking to the bus stop, walking to the coffee shop, staying in motion. Absolutely. I want to lift up what Coach Co says about she did try rolled overnight oats today and truly enjoyed it. And I'm happy to be making better decisions as it pertains to it. I love that.
It's funny though, Cole, because Christine and I both had oatmeal for breakfast. Okay,
right.
And I was gonna do the overnight oats. So let's talk about it, because I need some recipes. I need to know what works and what doesn't. It's weird for me to wrap it around my mind. Like, you just leave it in the refrigerator and it's ready in the morning. Okay, let me see something.
I see all the pretty pictures, of course, like on Pinterest and things like that. I haven't really done a lot of those, but Coach Co, thank you for your shout outs today and being with us. Coach Co says, proud of you, Shannon, and then says, good job, Christine. And we're proud of you, Coach Co. Like, good job on jamming on your social wellness and identifying the places that you want to lift up.
And for being part of Volume 1 and Volume 2. For me this year, through the energy that everybody's been holding and we're talking about, it's been beautiful to go through our stories over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like for Volume 1 and Volume, it's like, you know what, my ladies are amazing. I can do this, and so Coach Co writing her second chapter. Coach Co was actually the reason that I didn't have to write for financial wellness, which improved my occupational wellness and my emotional and mental wellness. So thank you so much. Yes.
Right? The naming of the people that give us grace and support us along this journey. Absolutely.
And that reminds me of at work. Right? How we have those people that help in different places. And that's what I was thinking about with Camlyn Phom's episode this season with social wellness and names and identity and bringing authenticity to work, and how she changed her name from her English name that she had picked when she was 5 years old, about to go into the school system, and choosing to go back to her Vietnamese name and honor her heritage and everything that she does to be seen everywhere, and how that has her navigate differently in different environments.
That was a powerful episode.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And how she
And
helps other people do it. I
that's
love
what I
that.
was about to say. I love that she is a job coach and a career
Yes.
coach, and
Yes.
especially working with the youth, working
Mhm.
with people that are looking for their first time jobs, looking
Yeah.
for. I had an experience today, Shannon, that was just so powerful that I'd
Mhm.
love to share. Like,
Please.
we are here in Chicago. We're here for the Parliament of World Religions,
Yeah.
and to support, we've got interplayers presenting and performing, and so delighted to be able to be here. And one our one of my colleagues, her family was impacted by Japanese internment after World War II, and she had this incredible book. So there's a hotel, like, once Japanese Americans were released from prison, basically, they were incarcerated for no good reason during
Wow.
World War II. Yeah,
Right.
this is a big part of our nation's history that people don't talk about, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So basically, what happened is when World War II broke out, and because Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor, they
Right.
rounded up all the Japanese Americans in the United States and put them in jail, put them in
Mhm.
internment camps.
Mhm.
And so her family was impacted.
Wow.
And her aunt, when she was released, moved to Chicago. And Chicago was a big place that a lot of people came afterwards. And so they have a Japanese American Service Committee that actually started back in the 40s during this big relocation.
Wow.
And my colleague Angela had a book that her aunt had kept on her dresser. And what it was is, when she left the first job she had after internment, she had worked at this hotel that had welcomed her and, got her back up on her feet, really. And when she went to leave that job, they did a signature book. You know how you for weddings and things like this. It was this little signature
Yes.
book, and people wrote in it in cursive, which, today is taken for granted. But
I'm gonna use it as a code.
it was all these beautiful notes telling
Mhm.
how much they were going to miss her. And
Mhm.
so it had really big significance to my colleague, because she's like, there was still a lot of hate and a lot of fear around Japanese Americans. And so to have this piece of history that was from this hotel, that was historic, was from this time, and that showed her as a full human being.
Mhm.
And so what we did today is we went to the Japanese American Service Committee, and she gave it as a gift for their archives. And so I had the honor and privilege of going with and documenting it and being a support and things like that. And the piece that I was thinking about, why it came up in this conversation, was the young woman who was the archivist. My
Mhm.
youngest daughter, Sammy, is in college and studying and wants to be an archivist. And it was really powerful to be there and witness, like, what she's doing for stories, for history, for social justice. Like, the power of, you think about it, her degree is in library sciences and information sciences. Like, she's a
Mhm.
librarian, but she's
I
more than
love
that.
it.
As an
Yeah.
archivist and as somebody who is preserving these stories and this history that often is in danger of not being taught anymore.
It's very important. That's
Right?
beautiful. And I
Yeah.
love and the fact that you support in that way. Let's see what Coach Co says. Chicago has such a rich history. Thanks for sharing this, Christine. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. Thank you for sharing and thank you for the way that you support. Like, as somebody who was Beta Club secretary and a notary, that person who is documenting stuff is also very
Right.
important. And so to have somebody like you there to support her in this story of history, I always love when you are able to have the opportunity to stand in positions like that.
Right. And I want to be clear, very clear. I asked consent first, because I knew this was a big moment for her and for history. And she
Right.
was like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "If you want me to, and here's
Right.
where I can be."
Yeah.
And asked permission when we got there to take pictures. And she told me afterwards that she was really grateful for that, because she said, "I was so in my feelings and so in the moment, I wouldn't have captured the building or where I was or who I
Yes.
met with or anything like that." And so
Yes.
it was powerful, and I was really privileged to have that opportunity.
Absolutely. And that is why it's huge, to document it. And I'm that type of person. If I'm there, if I'm in the moment, I am not trying to be on my phone. I do that intentionally. And now, as a business owner, I have to try to balance it better, And another shout out to Sammy Gotro and the RAs, right? And all the work they do on college campuses, because I did go pick up those Women Connected in Wisdom books. And so
Oh,
we're talking
good.
about, yes, I got them. And so super proud of her and thinking about Women Connected in Wisdom. And you think that is little, people used to say, oh, you get free rent. It's not free. You work for it. Okay. It's free monetarily. And that is when the dimensions started coming in. It's like, wait a minute, it's free over here, but it costs you something over here. So having people like
So when'd you go see her?
Was it the end of the week? Lord, where was I coming from? The retail space, met with Marie. We moved the Shalo Glow kiosk. It had to be Thursday, Friday, I think.
Okay. She looking good?
Oh, yeah. She's just like you. I said, yep, look at Christine. I said Joe's somewhere in there, but yeah, she's good and in good spirits and explaining everything. So it was beautiful to get to talk to her. Yeah.
Shout out to all our mamas out there who it is the time of year that our kids are going back to college. You might be first time empty nesters, mamas and the papas and all the parents really. Cause school is starting, or if it hadn't, it's starting soon. Right. So, this is a big transition time. I always remember this time of year, always excitement about school supplies, but also excitement, but it's big, it's a big deal. Transitions are a big deal, and new schedules and new things and ways of taking care of ourselves. So I think it's important to check in and see where we are in this new season.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that before we go into Wisdom in Action. As we go into our 15th season, how do you usually think about maintaining your wellness through seasonal transitions like this? What do you do for yourself?
Well, I take a moment to take a deep breath and really ask my body what it needs, right? What does it need? Is it needing more sleep? Is it needing more rest? Is it needing different kinds of foods? Is it, I check in on the different times of wellness. So I go like, where am I in balance and where am I at? For me, it's always, and we've said this on the show before, but I have to schedule things. If it's not scheduled, especially when I'm traveling, it doesn't happen. So like, even as we went through the list today, I was like, oh, I got to schedule a few of those things, right? Yeah. and just paying attention. What about you? What do you do?
I like that. I do intentionally schedule more. So I'll say, okay, so today is the end of this season. We are in the next step of the audio book for volume 1, right? And typeset for volume 2. Yes, Cole, you can give a shout out. And typeset for volume 2. And I'm going to take a bath and just soak and reset and be ready for the top of the week tomorrow, right? And this is something that being a kitchen manager actually helped me with. Sometimes it's not like it's Thursday, but it's also Monday, and Shalo Glow time, that's Monday. So we're on and we have this event for Black Beauty, for Black Business Month this month. And it's the beginning of that workflow. So it's a good time to kind of reset, like you said, stop, rest, congratulate. That's what I write about in volume 2, right? Make sure you say thank you to your team, even if it's just you. So do that. I'm going to do a facial, make sure I stay hydrated with these temperatures we've been talking about. And after that, check in with the team. So I really come back home, right? Check in with myself, check in with my partner, check in with God, right? Check in with the teams in the other businesses. And then I need to reach out. So before I go to the bath and decompress, I'm going to get some more work done and get this stuff set on social media so everybody can know about the times and everything. And that's what I do. I look ahead. And that's what I'll read it in a second, Ko. I got you. I was thinking about what Sammy, I asked her if she did her door decals for the month or for the whole semester. And she said both. And I said, yep, that's what I did. Because you want to go ahead and get it out of the way. So we're going to get this work out of the way. And then we're going to rest, and then we're going to go on to the next season.
Before you read Coach Co's shout out, can I just say thank you? Thank you for checking in with my baby. So, that's one of the things about Women Connected in Wisdom. Like, I'm traveling and on the road, and I love that you got to go by and see her and check in with her and have care and check in a way that I couldn't actually, because I haven't been an RA, but you have, and you have that shared language, and it just brings tears to my eyes. I am grateful for you, and that you're honestly. I'm also grateful too that you're literally right down the road from her. So if there's ever a thing, I can be on.
I got you. Okay, pull up too quick. What?
Yeah. What the what? Right.
Yes, and she's been doing a great job. So yeah, she'll be great. She'll be great. Right. Let's see what Coach Co says. Every year, Office Depot picks 16 schools to donate school supplies to all of the students and staff. Our school was one selected this year. We were blessed by Office Depot with a ton of supplies. Yes, Office Depot deserves a shout out. Thank you so much. Yes. Woo! That's so big. And that's big for the teachers. That's big for the students, the parents that don't have to worry about it. So, Co, I'm glad that you said it, you're in a warm, welcoming environment. So I'm happy for you as a teacher to get that this year.
And thank you, Office Depot, for supporting our teachers. That's awesome.
Yes, so important. So important. So this is our recap. Let's see, wisdom in action. What did you say earlier? You said something that reminded you of Stillpoint, and it was a hashtag that you gave. I should have written
partnership power. Yes. Partnership power.
I think that's my wisdom in action for the season. Getting things done in partnership. Mm-hmm. You could say, oh, if I was by myself, it would have been this way, whether it's clean the kitchen, whether it's anything, but to do it with other people and be able to exponentiate the impact and the healing and the intentional wellness. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And yes, partnership power is what we will continue into for the next season.
I love that. I'm sticking with that too. I think that's perfect. We're going to double up on partnership power. Double down.
Yes. Okay. Oof. Thank you so much for showing up for us. 126 episodes. Good job.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, ladies. Well, we have a couple of things coming up for you. Again, we have events for Dimensional Wellness at the retail space the next 2 weekends. If you're in Atlanta, want to travel down, visit us at 228 Auburn Avenue Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia, 30303. We will be there for you. And that information can be found on our Instagram at Shaylo Glow. And we have a book signing coming up for you in September, another Volume 1 book signing before we do the audiobook, before we do the Amazon bestseller campaign and everything for publishing for Volume 2. So if you want to join us, stay tuned. And in the meantime, don't forget,
be well,
be wise, and be whole. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. On air live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern via Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be part of the conversation and get connected at womenconnectedinwisdom.com.